Well, hello and welcome to the first Playful Shift, week one, the brain and play. So, for those of you that aren't able to join in, I completely get it. It's either early Sunday morning for you and you've got church or other activities. Maybe it's the middle of the day and you're out with the family. But I wanted to really get started with this series. We're going to be working on this for 8 weeks, covering different topics. And I would love for you to share your questions, take a look at the calendar, let me know if there's a topic that's missing. And then also, I'm going to create a special post for each week's videos so that we can build a conversation around that. So, for those of you who are a part of the community, you probably know me. I'm Mary, although you've never seen me live or recorded because I tend to keep a low profile. For those who don't know me, my name is Mary Nunley. I am a learning engineer slash learning designer. I am a former homeschool mom. I own my own agency with my son Amadeus, where we build e-learning content. I also homeschooled both of my children. I'm a play advisor with a company called Discovery Toys, which provides high quality educational toys for kids through adults in both the United States and Canada. And I have been fascinated by the brain, how the brain develops, and how kids learn. And that fascination was reignited last year when I became a grandparent. So the other thing I want to share is that I'm also going through the Lego Play certification so that I can provide better insights and information to you as parents, grandparents, or caregivers. And I know some of you are going, well, play, I've got a teenager, that doesn't matter. Or my kid's just a baby, that doesn't matter. Well, today's topic about the brain and play really focuses on how the brain grows and the importance of play at all ages. And I would venture to say that play is just as important for teens and adults as it is for babies and toddlers. So we're going to get started. And today I've broken the presentation into three areas: the 3 to 6 year old, the middle school ager, the basically 7 to 12, and then the teen brain. I'm not going to focus on infants because that is such a specialized area and well out of my area of expertise. But if you have questions about infants, we do have some child experts in our community that you can reach out to. And if you're interested in that, tag me and I'll make sure that I tag them as well. So let's get started. This should be about a 20-minute presentation, and then we can continue the questions and answers in the chat. So the secret ingredient to the brain and play is actually ownership. And one of the things that I'd invite you to think about is going from managing activities to supporting the brain's architecture. And so that is a key element. When we think about that, we talk about, like, what is the construction site? And I purposely put this as the hook because I really want you to think, wow, this is something important. And the important thing is that play isn't extra. It's really the only time your child's logical, creative, and emotional brain centers all are firing together. And so you're hooking things together. I'm a crocheter. And so think of this as if the logical is the pattern, the creative is the yarn, and the emotional is the crochet hook. And you have to have all three of those elements working together to create something new. And that's what's happening in your child's brain. So the first thing is let's think about the lie that we're told. And we're told that play only happens after real learning is done. How many of you have experienced this as a child or even as a parent? You do this with your own children. You know, finish your schoolwork and then you can play. Do your chores and then you can play. And instead, we should focus more on do the play and then do your chores. Do the play and then do your schoolwork. Kind of a Mary Poppins approach. You can create an environment where the children are playing and doing their chores at the same time. As a homeschooler, when we first started, my daughter was in the 6th grade and she really just wanted to recreate school at home without having to go to the school. After homeschooling her for about a year, we realized that we needed less structure, and I took more of an unschooling approach. But keep in mind, I was also a professor at a community college, so I made sure that we focused on the essentials in my mind: reading, writing, math. And so from there, the unschooling came in is we didn't have to follow workbooks. We didn't have to do worksheets. We were going to create learning experiences that were child-led with some guidance for myself. And that's going to play an important role as we go through this little presentation today. So the truth is that play is the brain's architecture being built. And what we need to do as adults is shift from managing activities to supporting neurological growth. So think about this either as your experience as a parent, as an aunt, as an uncle, as a teacher. How many times have we just quickly jumped in and said, oh, that's not right. Let me show you how to do it. Or, oh, you've already done that 15 times. Let me just take care of it for you. And it's really hurting the child's brain development instead of helping it. And why? Well, let's think about it. This is the wet paint brain, for lack of a better analogy. Since we're sticking with crafting here, the wet paint brain is that the neuroplasticity is that your child's brain is constantly forming. So think about like paint that you put in a painting or paint that you're putting on a wall. It's going to drip down, and it's going to mesh and it's going to meld, but ultimately you're going to get the end result that you want. And this is the same thing. The brain is soft, it's moldable, and it's ready to form new connections with every experience. One thing that I was fascinated to learn very early on when I first became a parent is that all of the organs of your child's body are already fully formed at birth, except for the brain. Now, I understand that there are situations with birth defects or, you know, sad situations or traumatizing situations where that doesn't play out. But in general, in the vast majority of humans, everything in your body is fully formed except for the brain. And the brain is the one organ that needs to be trained and taught and educated. So we want to introduce the learning loop. Instead of, here's a problem, let me fix it, you want your child, whether they're a 3-year-old, a 15-year-old, a 37-year-old, to experience that frustration and develop a sense of curiosity. Ruben, who's a member of our community, also has his own community called Clues, and it's focused all about reigniting that sense of curiosity as an adult. And with a child, that curiosity is innate, and as adults, we often drag it away. So I want to just suggest to you that you let them figure out the problem, live through that frustration, let them try to solve it themselves before you jump in to fix it. Let them create a new strategy and let their brains start to build those connections. So this is kind of an ownership shift. We're going from a judged brain, which is survival mode, to an ownership brain, which is growth mode. And what do I mean by that? Well, the judged brain is like, this is how we do it. We color within the lines. We must do this. We must do that. And it's kind of survival. How many of you remember being in school and being told you must use the green crayon to color the grass? The sky is blue, use the blue crayon. And then you get in trouble because you decided that the grass should be purple and the sky should be pink. And the teacher came by and said, that's not right. Well, if you look at my background, you notice that the sky is multiple shades, not just blue. And so maybe in my brain as a 5-year-old, I was trying to create a sunset. So that's that survival mode, though. The child is doing what they're told to do because they know that that's going to keep them out of trouble. Versus the ownership brain, which is growth mode, which is also the area that we as parents often get most frustrated with because it's like, why are you doing that? Why are you playing that same song over again? Why do you keep knocking that brick tower over? Why do you keep playing that same video game? Well, their brains are growing. So keep that in mind. So one of the things is you want to avoid stepping in most situations. Caveat. If it's a situation where your child is putting themselves in the way of physical harm, of course, step in. I used to work in the restaurant industry, and that was one of the things that we would train new managers on is that in general, do not shout or yell at your kitchen staff. However, if you see someone about to step in a puddle next to an electrical cord that could potentially electrocute them, it is perfectly acceptable and highly recommended that you scream, watch out across the kitchen so that they don't electrocute themselves. So again, use your judgment. If your child is curious and playing with knives, you might want to take the knives away from them. Okay, so after you watch this, I'm looking forward to your questions. Let's talk about the loop of learning. So again, we talked about neuroplasticity and the brain being like wet paint. It's receptive to new connections and stepping in and solving problems. But now I wanted to give you some ways to think about it. So the child faces a problem. It's a challenge that they have to overcome. Could be as simple as stacking 3 blocks. Could be as challenging as beating a level in a video game. Might be a homework problem. Think about algebra. Think about geometry. Think about learning a language. There's a challenge that they have to overcome. the brain starts to spark. So they get frustrated. They get curious. Is there a different way to solve this? I can't do this. I give up. Both of those approaches are going to ignite neural activity. Our role as parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, teachers, educators is to help reinforce more of the curiosity approach and kind of defoster, Mary's word, the approach of like, "Ugh, I just give up." Although sometimes giving up is okay. And then they come back with a fresh perspective. Think about it in your own life. How many times have you been frustrated with a problem, give up, come back with a fresh perspective? It's like, I got the answer. But this is the time for them to try new strategies. So experimentation builds pathways. In a child, experimentation starts to strengthen those pathways. In a teen, experimentation helps them decide who they are as a blossoming or soon to be young adult. And as an adult, experimentation keeps our mind young and helps us from getting stale. So what you want to look at then is that this connection is being formed, especially in the young brain. This connection is being formed. The learning becomes permanent architecture. Those pathways, those roads in the brain are starting to become well-traveled paths and can be easily recalled when needed. All right, so let's talk a little bit about the ownership shift here. This is how a child's brain responds to adult intervention, and this determines whether they enter survival mode or growth mode. So I talked about that a little bit ago. And what happens is that judgment shuts down learning circuits while ownership activates the full potential. So if the child thinks that they're going to get in trouble for doing something, they often shut down and stop doing it. Versus if they know that they're going to be supported, then they continue carrying on. And so this is what we want to go for. We want to reinforce the ownership of the activity. So again, the judge brain triggers the survival mode. It shuts down creativity and risk taking. As an adult, think about that yourself. How many times have you been in the workplace or as an entrepreneur, you presented an idea to somebody and they're like, nope, forget it. So you just shut down and you stop contributing versus the ownership brain where you presented that idea. And while it might not have been accepted, the person listening to it said, hey, that's an interesting idea. Let's talk about it. Or let's see how this might be able to be used. Or how can we make this work? So, those are the things that I want you to think about both as an adult and with your kids. All right, so phase one, we've got the builders. This is the brain state. It's wiring the foundation through what's called synaptic blooming. There's an explosion of potential connections forming the architecture of learning. The brain is firing left, right, left, right, left, right, left, right. It's trying new things. It's, think about when your child or a child is starting to walk. We're going through this right now with my grandson, and Stanley the cat is coming to say hello. So, he falls down, he gets up. He falls down, he gets up. We don't yell at him for falling down. We applaud him for falling down. It's like, hey, get up, try it again. Let's see, can you take 2 steps now? What about 3 steps? So think about that. And Eli's not quite one. So as your child gets a little older, you want to think about how do you reward their curiosity and their trying. So the synaptic blooming is where there's massive neural growth and it creates endless possibilities in the brain. The bottom up play is where there's sensory exploration, using blocks, playing with water, playing with clay, playing with sand, finger painting, all of those types of things that allow them to see, feel, touch, taste. And then the ownership shift, creating a yes place for this exploration. So, you may not want your child finger painting the bedroom wall, but maybe you have a place where the child can safely create a mess and finger paint without creating havoc in the home. So, my suggestion for you is if you've got a child between the ages of 3 and 6, create the untoy box. And this is just a simple box, could be a cardboard box, could be a plastic container. Doesn't even have to be a box, it could be a pot, it can be whatever you have. But you fill it up with odds and ends that are safe for their age and their developmental cycle. So put in spoons, put in rags, put in keys, put in some blocks, put in some random items that they can play with and create. Don't give the kid any instructions. Let them do what they want. And what this does is it allows the brain to start thinking, what can I make? What can I do? What might this become? Now, at 3 to 6, it's probably going to be a little rougher than if you gave the same set of items to a 7 to 8, 9 year old or to a teenager, but reinforce the learning, reinforce the play. So that's the untoy box. Now, phase two is they're starting to become masters. The brain state is they're paving the mental or the neurological highway through myelination. And this is the neurosignals are traveling up to 100 times faster. This is an age of efficiency. This is where practical skills, practice skills start to become automatic. At 4 or 5, the child may not know how to help you, let's say, set the table. By the time they're 7, 8, 9, they know how to set the table if you've showed them, if they've had practice. By the time they're closer to 12, they should be able to set the table without any prompting. So think about it like that. They're mastering these things. It centers, the play itself is going to center on strategy, competition, and skill refinement. So think about the games you're playing with a 3 to 6 year old, their skills, and they are practicing how to win, what the rules are, that kind of thing. There's an executive function where they're starting to negotiate, they're self regulating, and they're actively practicing what they're learning. And then children own the social contract, adults stop refereeing. This is where you start seeing kids negotiating on the playground or negotiating with the parent. What about this? What about this? Life's not fair. It's not going to happen. I don't like it. So we've got the rule maker hack. This is where, as the adult, you're going to play the game that your child likes, but you're going to let the child change two rules to make the game harder for adults. And what this does is it gives the brain this like workout where they're really starting to think about strategy and thinking. And so try this with a simple game first, and then try it with something a little harder. How many of you have played Monopoly and have house rules as opposed to the rule rules? All right, so phase three, the renegades, ages 3 to 17. Here, the brain state is undergoing what's called the great remodel or a synaptic pruning, which specializes the brain by removing unused pathways. So there's all these pathways that were built from 3 to 12. Well, now we don't need all of them. So we're going to get rid of some of them. We're going to prune them. The prefrontal cortex starts to take over, and it's more of a top-down control. So this is where that teenager is starting to test their identity. This might be through digital content creation, hobbies, video gaming. And we know that there's a lot of discussion about children or teens spending too much time on devices. What I'd like to say is that the devices themselves are neither good nor bad. It's how you approach it and how you use it, and having some guides to help develop that executive function to let the teen know, hey, maybe I'm spending a little too much time here. So there's an ownership shift. The adult or the parent starts moving from a general contractor, let's do this, let's do that, to more of a consultant. And the team goes into the driver's seat. They're starting to take the lead, and you're advising when you're asked. And so here's an activity that you can do to take that passive screen time and make it into more active mastery. And do this through genuine curiosity and connection. And it's sit quietly with your teenager while they're doing their activity, whether it's on social media, whether they're writing a blog, whether they're creating a program, whether they're playing a video game. Don't criticize the screen time. Just watch what they're doing and ask permission. May I watch? And then ask them, what's the hardest problem you're trying to solve right now? Maybe it's trying to master a level. Maybe they're not sure how to use vibe coding. Maybe they're unsure how to, correctly format a post. Ask and then provide answers when asked. So what I encourage you to do is take a 10-second pause, which is when you're tempted to just jump in and help, count to 10. This lets the wet paint set. It lets your child's brain form those crucial neural connections. And what I'm asking you to do as the adult is then reflect. What problem is their brain trying to solve right now? Don't jump in and fix it, but ask, what do you think they're trying to solve? Be an observer, be a witness, not a teacher, not an entertainer, just observe. And then have that conversation with your child appropriate to their age and development. And with that, that's our 20 minutes on the brain. Thanks for watching. Thanks for joining. And we'll see you next week. We talk about layered learning.